Welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm Bil Tucker, and I am pleased to be joined now by Stacie Ruth and Carrie Beth Stoelting, recording artists, founders of Bright Light Ministries, and make sure you check out their websites, brightlightministries.com and unitetheusa.org. Ladies, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate you so much.
We appreciate y'all. And before we go any further, I want to know who Stacie Beth is and who Carrie is, so folks at home will know who's talking.
Okay, I'm Carrie.
And I'm Stacie.
That's what. And you're sisters, right?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
And we're not twins, although
twins.
we know a lot, that's what we typically are asked.
Always get asked that, so we'll beat you to
Yeah,
it.
we'll just.
Well, it's great to have you on because, as everyone I'm sure is more than aware of, tomorrow's the July 4th holiday. And
Right.
we want to start with the fact that one of your missions, one of the things that you want people to understand is the importance of patriotism. So why don't we start right there and tell us, in case we might be short of wondering why, patriotism is important.
Patriotism in America, we have so much to be proud about. Our servicemen and women and our veterans who have fought to keep us free, fought to keep us safe.
Yes.
We have a lot to celebrate. Not only, July 4th, yes, we celebrate our independence, but we also celebrate our freedom and the men and women who have fought to keep it. So we're very proud of that.
Oh, yeah.
As are many Americans. So we, the July 4th is really, aside from Christmas, it's my favorite holiday. So great time to honor our veterans who aren't always appreciated as they should be.
This is true, and the 4th of July affords us an opportunity to easily access veterans who have been in parades, for instance.
Yep.
After parades, we encourage people, easy tip, go up to them and say, thank you. Thank you for your service. And one thing I like to mention is the fact that we all should thank God and thank veterans, because they are why we celebrate our freedom, that we have our freedom.
That's right.
So it's really important to remember our veterans at this time.
One of the things I know you'll like to stress is positive patriotism.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm sure that that's in keeping with what you're just talking about. I think a lot of people, might feel a little uncomfortable walking up to veterans they don't know to thank them for their service. But actually, having known a number of men and women who served, I actually think they appreciate it.
They do. They do.
They do. They do appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing. It's also a great thing to do with your kids and grandkids.
Yes.
So you have to pass it on to them to understand why.
Remember that children learn, a lot is caught, not just taught. So when you exhibit how they should behave in the future, when you do that in front of them and involve them in the process of just thanking veterans and giving tribute where tribute is due, it's fantastic. And I also like to mention the fact that any temporary discomfort, kind of like awkward feeling that you may feel before thanking a veteran is just totally not comparable to how you would feel if you went to a veteran's funeral.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you hadn't thanked him or her? So I like to mention that, even though it's quite, a shocking thought, I still think that really brings it home. Which feeling would you rather have?
It's really simple, isn't it? It's funny too, because you touched on something that actually is a passion of mine. There's genetics. You two are sisters, so you share certain things. You didn't do anything to share those genetic makeups. You just naturally came by them. History is not genetic. Tradition is not genetic. Appreciation of the freedoms we have aren't genetic. And I was on your website. You talk about don't just talk, do. And you just mentioned you learn by learning, and that's what you two ladies are all about.
Yes. Yes, and we appreciate how I can tell we are really on the same page with you, and
awesome.
It really is a refreshing thing. We love being on Newsmax.
Yep.
You folks have your priorities straight, let me tell you.
But it's true, you know, we have to take the time to teach our kids in our country so that they can then teach their kids. You have to keep it going.
Yes.
And,
yes.
you know, working with them not only gives honor and thanks to our veterans who more than deserve it. We can't do enough for them.
No.
But it's a twofold purpose. It's honoring our veterans, but it's also bringing up the next generation to understand.
Exactly. One thing I always like to say is the fact that, frankly, they were willing, every veteran, whether they served abroad or whatever, they were willing to lay down their lives for us. And, you know, the scripture says, greater love has no man than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. There's no greater love than that which veterans have been willing to display by being willing to sacrifice themselves for us.
That's right.
I can't even begin to articulate how I feel about that. So obviously we're just getting the word out. We have to thank them. They are heroes.
I want to ask you a question. On your website, there's a mention of take chances but be respectful.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, basically, we want to be sure that people use common sense. If it's going to, be obtrusive if they're having a special time with their families and they're obviously interacting with their grandchildren and the opportunity doesn't open up, then thank another veteran instead. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have to return to common sense kindness in America. So I'm very, very into that, obviously.
Well, of course you are. And we know that. That's why we're talking to you here. You know.
Yeah.
Recently the two of you sang for Vice President Mike Pence at an event honoring veterans. How did that go? Tell us about it.
It was a great event. It was, as you said, an event honoring veterans. Our U.S. Senator Joni Ernst is a veteran herself, and she was heading it up. And Vice President Mike Pence was a special guest.
Yes.
And we were honored to sing for not only the two of them, but for many, many veterans who were in attendance. And God bless them.
Yes.
Many heroes were there that day. It was very exciting.
It was very moving.
Very exciting to be in their presence and to feel the love for America and we're from Iowa, for Iowa too. So
that's right. That's right.
So we love that.
That's for sure. And you know, one thing, a lot of people kind of wonder, well, why are we as millennials so passionate about America and things like that? We have been blessed, yes, to have a fantastic family where we traveled to all 50 states and learned American history. Can't recommend that enough. And we're taught to just love God and others. And while we realize that's special, we want to make it actually the norm, where everyone can experience the joys of simply appreciating America. And one thing also that really amped up our appreciation for veterans would be the day when we witnessed a fatal accident, actually. It was a head-on collision, and we were actually en route to see our grandma. We had actually helped take care of her at home, and then she was placed in a nursing home. So we were actually just really focused on getting to see grandma because it's tough, And suddenly, on the highway, there was this head-on collision, and I called 911. Carrie was with me, and we rushed over to the victim. We didn't know his background, so we thought, well, we'll just pray with him. Prayed with him to receive Christ, and then he bled to death in front of our eyes.
And that is an experience I think so many people can understand, because our veterans see so much more than that. Ladies, special thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Stacie. Thank you, Carrie. Make sure you check out their websites, brightlightministries.com and unitetheusa.org. But next, former Navy